Fox host Tucker Carlson is apparently freaking out after some of his text message between he and Alex Jones were turned over to the January 6th committee. Now, all of Alex Jones' texts that were obtained by lawyer Mark Bankston during the Sandy Hook trial has been turned over to the January 6th committee. So now that, of course, came from the civil trial in the Sandy Hook defamation suit to find out how much in damages Jones would have to pay the families of the children murdered. So now during that trial, Bankston revealed that, oops, Jones' lawyer accidentally sent him 2 years of Jones' text and email messages. Oh no! Now the Daily Beast is reporting that Carlson is, and I love this, quote unquote, shitting himself over the prospect of his text with Jones leaking, according to a source close to the Fox News star. In fact, here's what the article says. Carlson and the raving Infowars ranter trade text messages on a daily basis, according to two people familiar with the relationship. Confider noted, if made public, these sources said, the text messages would be highly embarrassing for Carlson. Confider added that Carlson and Jones have been friends for years, with Carlson having made multiple appearances on Infowars. Carlson even wrote a blurb on the back of Jones' book, The Great Reset. Gee, I wonder what's in there that would be embarrassing to Tucker Carlson. Huh. I mean, could it be naughty pictures? Well, that's a different segment. It could be, and I'm just gonna guess here. I'm gonna do some speculation, okay? Because I like speculation. It's fun. Maybe it's the fact that Jones and Carlson have created an entire media bubble in order to grift the MAGA movement by coming up with fake things to be scared of and then selling fake solutions. More so in the case of Jones, of course, which literally sells fake solutions like, is the government getting you down? Are they poisoning you with fluoride in the water? Well, that's okay. Get Alex Jones dick pills. That's right. Cock Force Plus, along with Brain Force Plus, and you can get your manhood back, from the juice boxes that are filled with estrogen. That's a real conspiracy theory he came up with. I mean, again, in a very literal way, selling snake oil to his audience. Now, of course, Tucker Carlson is a little smarter and a lot more subtle. Okay, so now, before I get to that, Jones and Carlson have both used an interesting defense in court, by the way. Basically, the no reasonable person would take what I have to say seriously defense. Now, Jones' lawyer argued before, this was during a custody hearing, that Jones is just a character, a performance artist. I'm doing the performance art. Yes, that's what I'm doing, where I get on the mic and yell about the New World Order in a very gravelly voice. That's right. And I'm talking about the aliens.
It is an alien force, not of this world.
That's right. We are under attack by the aliens, as well as the devil.
It's the devil, okay?
Okay. And the frogs are being gay. They're being turned gay by the water, seeing what happens. And again, you can do something about it if you buy Dick Force Plus. Okay. But anyway, performance art, right? That's all it is. It's performance art. Except that, people believe it. Now, here is, by the way, a reporter from, and I'm going to get this wrong, I know, because I'm terrible with German pronunciations, but Der Spiegel, right? So that is a publication in Germany, and you had a man who profiled Alex Jones. This was a couple of years back. Viet Medic, or Medic, or I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. But here's what the reporter said of Jones. Jones isn't crazy. Oh, that's a surprise. He is well read, knows how to do his research, and knows a bit about international politics. When the microphone is off, his speech sometimes sounds as dry as if he were a member of the European Commission. But when the microphone is on, he slips into his role and becomes a fury. So now, what's interesting too is there is a channel out there, a YouTube channel that is out there that watches all of every single Alex Jones program. All, 2-3 hours of it. I believe their name is Knowledge Fight. And so they'll sit there and they'll listen to it. And basically what they say is, look, most of the program is actually really boring, really, really dry. And then you'll go and read some articles. And then every once in a while, he'll get all fiery and he'll do the fury and he'll really get into the character. And so I think that's interesting. But this guy's saying, yeah, most of the time Alex Jones is like super dry. But then he slips into the character, and then that's how he makes his money. That's what people talk about. That's what people remember. But getting back to the, of course, the character, right? For example, Tucker Carlson. Okay. Now for Carlson, U.S. District Judge Mary Kay Viscosal, terrible with names. In her opinion, she wrote, and again, she's a pro-Trump judge of Carlson, that the general tenor of Carlson's show should inform a viewer that he is not stating actual facts about the topics he discusses, and instead engages in exaggeration in non-literal commentary. Now, this was actually a ruling in favor of Fox News and Tucker Carlson to protect them from defamation. She wrote, Fox persuasively argues that given Mr. Carlson's reputation, any reasonable viewer arrives with an appropriate amount of skepticism about the statement he makes. Basically, anybody who's watching Tucker Carlson, well, of course no reasonable person would believe the things that he says. Now, honestly. Now, look, on that, I've said before, both Jones and Carlson, I don't think they necessarily believe everything that they say. Although I think Tucker Carlson has a worldview where the things he says do help him out a lot. But for Jones, his lies made him tens of millions of dollars. In fact, during the latest trial, it was noted that Jones had made up to $800,000 a day from his program. A day. While Tucker Carlson, he makes millions of dollars. He is the top rated host on Fox News, millions of viewers, and I think more importantly, and most damagingly, likely presidential aspirations. Yikes. And what's important to illustrate here is that there is profit in lies. And there is a section of the far right that is so desperate for their own reality, where they are the perpetual victims. They are persecuted because they're the only people that are actually out there telling the truth and standing up for real Americans, or also white people. If those talks mention anything, those texts mention anything about how they are lying and grifting for profit, or are making fun of their viewers for believing them, or something that can actually be damaging towards them in regards or relation to the MAGA audience, if there is anything there, well, that's, again, all of this is speculation. All of this is a big assumption, right? I don't know what those texts contain, but I could see something like that, what I was talking about, be potentially embarrassing. But again, whatever's in there, it's enough, apparently, at least according to these sources, for Tucker Carlson to be concerned. And if he's concerned, well, then that has my interest.